The ship trembled like a wounded beast, its metallic skin groaning under impossible stress. Dr. Elena Rodriguez gripped the emergency control panel, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces with a precision born of years of deep space exploration training. Outside the viewscreen, the chaotic dance of meteor fragments created a deadly kaleidoscope of destruction. Khryzix-9 loomed closer with each passing second, a planet that had devoured countless exploration vessels and crushed the hopes of multiple galactic civilizations. Its reputation was legendary among interstellar researchers, a world so hostile that even automated probes rarely survive more than hours after landing. The ship's computer chirped a series of warning signals. Multiple system failures cascaded through the vessel's infrastructure. Life support was failing, navigation systems were fragmenting, and the hull integrity was dropping at an exponential rate. Any other pilot would have resigned themselves to fate, but Elena saw the unfolding disaster as nothing more than an intricate problem waiting to be solved. "Come on," she muttered, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding her. A thin line of blood trickled from a cut on her forehead, a testament to the violent impact of the meteor shower. Her research vessel, the Horizon Explorer, had been designed for extreme planetary surveys, but no ship could withstand the relentless bombardment she had encountered. The alien observation team, stationed light years away, watched with clinical detachment. Their advanced sensor arrays captured every moment of the impending disaster. The Galactic Exploration Consortium had long maintained a database of human exploration attempts, and this looked like it would be another tragic entry, another footnote in the dangerous pursuit of scientific discovery. Elena's background was not typical of most space explorers. A geologist with specialized training in extreme planetary environments, she had spent years studying worlds that defied conventional understanding. Her doctoral thesis on survival strategies in high-risk planetary conditions had been dismissed by many of her colleagues as theoretical fantasy. Now she was about to prove them wrong in the most direct way possible. The ship's emergency protocols kicked in automatically. Protective energy shields flickered, a last-ditch attempt to protect the vessel's critical systems. But the meteors were ruthless, each impact chipping away at the ship's defenses like sculptors working on an unforgiving piece of stone. A massive impact sent Elena sliding across the control room. Emergency restraints activated, catching her before she could be thrown completely across the space. Her mind was already calculating. Survival was not just about luck, but about preparation, adaptability, and a deep understanding of the environment. Khryzix-9 grew larger in the viewscreen. Its surface was a nightmare of geological complexity, razor-sharp rock formations that seemed to shift and change, atmospheric conditions that would dissolve most standard protective materials, and energy storms that could fry sophisticated equipment in milliseconds. The ship's computer began its final sequence. Emergency landing protocols initiated, searching for the least destructive landing zone. But Elena knew computers could only do so much. The planet's unique magnetic fields and unpredictable terrain would require human intuition. Her hand moved to a small compartment beneath the control panel. Inside was a survival kit, not the standard issue equipment provided by most exploration agencies, but a custom-designed package she had assembled over years of research. Compact water purification systems, multifunctional tools, emergency shelter components, and specialized protective gear. Another violent impact. The ship's hull began to tear. Emergency containment fields struggled to maintain pressure and atmospheric integrity. Warning lights flashed a symphony of impending doom. But Elena Rodriguez was not someone who accepted doom easily. As the Horizon Explorer made its final desperate approach to Khryzix-9's surface, she secured her survival kit, checked her emergency beacon, and prepared for what might be the most challenging moment of her scientific career. The alien observers continued to watch, their sophisticated sensors capturing every detail of what they were certain would be another human failure. They had no idea what was about to unfold. The ship hit the planet's surface with a thunderous impact that would have killed most living beings instantly. Dust, rock fragments, and twisted metal erupted in a violent cloud. For several moments, everything was still. Then, a movement. A hand pushed away a piece of debris. Dr. Elena Rodriguez emerged, bruised but very much alive, her eyes already scanning the alien landscape with a mixture of scientific curiosity and pure determination. Survival was just the beginning of her journey. The silence was deafening. Krasix-9 stretched out before Elena like a living nightmare, a canvas of geological impossibility that defied every standard planetary classification she had ever studied. Her protective suit's sensors worked overtime, creating a constant stream of data that painted a picture of extreme environmental hostility. Razor-sharp rock formations jutted from the ground at impossible angles, their crystalline structures refracting the dim light in ways that seemed to challenge the very laws of physics. The ground itself appeared to breathe, a subtle shifting that suggested the planet was far from static. Every step required careful calculation, every movement a potential risk. Elena activated her suit's advanced scanning equipment. The readings were unlike anything she had encountered in her years of planetary research. Atmospheric composition fluctuated wildly, with corrosive gases that would dissolve most known materials within minutes. Periodic energy discharges danced on the horizon, their plasma tendrils creating intricate patterns that looked almost beautiful, if not for their deadly potential. In the distance, what appeared to be mountains shifted and moved, not in the traditional geological sense of plate tectonics, but in a way that suggested the entire landscape was alive, dynamic, and fundamentally alien. Her initial geological assessment would need to be completely rewritten. The alien observation team, monitoring from their distant outpost, zoomed their sensors with increasing fascination. Dr. Rodriguez moved with a methodical precision that contradicted their expectations. Most biological entities would have been paralyzed by fear, overwhelmed by the sheer hostility of the environment. Instead, she began a systematic survey. Her first priority was understanding the immediate survival challenges. The atmosphere, while technically breathable through her suit's advanced filtration system, contained compounds that would gradually break down her protective gear. Time was a critical factor. Elena pulled out a compact geological analysis tool from her survival kit. It was a device she had personally modified, designed to provide instantaneous chemical and structural analysis of planetary surfaces. Most standard exploration equipment would have failed within moments on Krasix-9. Hers was different. The first sample revealed a complex mineral structure that seemed to defy conventional understanding. Layers of metamorphic and seemingly synthetic materials were intertwined in patterns that suggested either incredibly advanced natural processes or something more deliberate. Her mind raced with possibilities. Plasma storms continued to dance on the horizon. Their energy signatures were unlike anything in the known galactic database. Each discharge created localized areas of intense electromagnetic interference, which would render most communication and navigation systems useless. Elena would need to develop alternative methods of tracking and survival. Water was her next critical concern. The surface appeared completely dry, but Elena knew appearances could be deceiving. She began analyzing the rock formations, looking for any signs of moisture retention. Her training had prepared her for extreme environments, but Krasix-9 was pushing the boundaries of her knowledge. A sudden ground tremor caught her attention. The razor-sharp rock formations seemed to realign themselves, creating new pathways and obstacles. It was as if the planet was actively responding to her presence, a living entity that was simultaneously testing and observing her. Her suit's environmental protection was already showing signs of degradation. The corrosive atmosphere and unpredictable energy discharges were slowly eating away at her protective layers. Elena calculated she had approximately 72 hours before her current equipment would become critically compromised. Most explorers would have seen this as a death sentence. For her, it was a challenge to be solved. She began mapping the terrain, using a combination of her suit's sensors and manual observations. Each rock, each unusual geological formation became a potential resource. Where others might see a hostile environment, she saw a complex system waiting to be understood. The alien observers continued their surveillance. Their advanced technologies captured every moment of her exploration, every calculated step. They had watched countless species attempt to survive on Krzyzx-9. None had lasted more than a few hours. Elena Rodriguez was about to change that narrative. As the first of the planet's multiple suns began to set, casting bizarre prismatic effects across the landscape, she prepared her initial shelter. Not a permanent solution, but a strategic base of operations. Her mind was already working through potential survival strategies, ways to turn this impossible environment into a livable space. Survival was just the beginning. Understanding was her true mission. The multi-tool in Elena's hand was more than a simple device. It was a lifeline, a testament to human engineering and adaptive technology. Most exploration tools were single-purpose, designed for specific scientific missions. Hers was different, a complex system of interchangeable components that could transform based on immediate needs. As the first light of Krzyzx-9's primary sun crept across the landscape, Elena began her systematic resource assessment. The razor-sharp rock formations that had seemed impossible just hours ago now presented themselves as potential survival assets. Where others might see danger, she saw opportunity. Her geological training kicked into overdrive. The crystalline structures surrounding her were not just rocks. They were complex mineral compositions that could potentially serve multiple purposes. She began carefully extracting samples, her multi-tool's precision laser cutting through the surface with surgical accuracy. The alien observation team zoomed their sensors, capturing every movement. They had watched countless species approach hostile environments, but none with the calculated precision of this human researcher. Elena moved like a chess master, each action deliberate, each movement part of a larger strategy. Mineral composition analysis revealed surprising properties. The rocks contained trace elements that could potentially be used for water filtration, structural reinforcement, and even rudimentary energy generation. Most exploration teams would have missed these subtle details. Elena saw them as lifelines. Her suit's remaining power was a critical concern. The corrosive atmosphere continued to eat away at her protective gear, creating a countdown to critical failure. But instead of panic, she felt a surge of scientific excitement. This was the moment researchers lived for. True exploration at the edge of possibility. The multi-tool transformed. With a quick series of adjustments, it became a combination spectral analyzer and material extractor. Elena began collecting samples of the surrounding terrain, creating a comprehensive database of the planet's geological makeup. Each sample was carefully sealed, labeled, and cataloged. In the distance, a plasma storm began to build. Most would have sought immediate shelter. Elena watched with a mixture of scientific curiosity and strategic planning. The energy discharges created unique electromagnetic patterns that could potentially be harnessed. Her survival kit contained emergency shelter components, lightweight, adaptive materials designed for extreme environments. But Elena knew standard equipment would fail quickly on Krzyzx-9. She would need to improvise, to create something entirely new. The rock formations began to shift subtly. Not a random movement, but something more purposeful. Elena's trained eye caught the minute changes in geological structure. The planet seemed to be responding to her presence, testing her capabilities. Water remained her primary survival challenge. The surface appeared completely dry, but Elena understood that appearances could be deceiving. She began analyzing the mineral structures, looking for potential moisture retention. Her fingers moved across her multi-tools interface, running complex geological scanning protocols. Most researchers would have given up. The environment was too hostile, the challenges too extreme. But Elena saw each obstacle as a puzzle waiting to be solved. Her doctoral research had prepared her for exactly this type of extreme environment exploration. The alien observers continued their surveillance. Their advanced technologies captured every moment, every calculated movement. They had extensive databases of planetary exploration, but nothing quite like this. A single human, alone on a planet that had devoured entire exploration teams, methodically turning potential death into a scientific opportunity. As the day progressed, Alina began constructing her initial shelter. But this was no standard emergency structure. She integrated the local rock formations into her design, using their unique properties to create a protective environment that could withstand the planet's extreme conditions. Her multi-tool became an extension of her scientific will. It cut, analyzed, measured, and reconstructed. Where standard equipment would have failed, her customized tool adapted. Each adjustment was a small victory against the planet's hostile environment. Water extraction became her primary focus. The rock formations contained microscopic channels, almost invisible to standard sensors, but Alina's specialized equipment could detect the subtle moisture pathways. With careful manipulation, she began to create a rudimentary water collection system. The alien observation team watched in increasing amazement. This was no longer just survival. This was transformation. A single human researcher was beginning to understand and adapt to an environment that had defeated entire exploration missions. As the first day on Chronicles 9 drew to a close, Alina Rodriguez stood surrounded by her initial survival infrastructure, a testament to human ingenuity, scientific determination, and an unbreakable spirit of exploration. Survival was just the beginning. Understanding was her true mission. The shelter took shape like a living organism, emerging from Chronicles 9's hostile landscape. Alina understood that survival was more than protection. It was about creating a symbiotic relationship with an environment that seemed determined to destroy her. Her initial structural analysis revealed that the rock formations were not static. They possessed a subtle, almost organic flexibility that defied traditional geological understanding. Where most researchers would have seen an insurmountable challenge, Alina saw an opportunity for innovative design. The obsidian-like rocks became more than building materials. They were complex, adaptive structures with potential far beyond their apparent composition. Alina carefully selected each fragment, using her multi-tool to create precise connections that would integrate rather than impose. Most shelter designs followed a rigid external approach. Alina's method was different. She began to work with the landscape, understanding its rhythms and movements. The shelter would not stand against the environment. It would become part of it. Her welding technique combined her multi-tool's plasma cutter with locally sourced minerals. The joints she created were unlike anything in standard engineering databases. They possessed a flexibility that could absorb the planet's constant geological shifts, a resilience that seemed to blur the line between artificial construction and natural formation. The alien observation team adjusted their sensors, struggling to comprehend the methodology. This was not traditional shelter construction. It was something entirely new, a hybrid approach that suggested a deep understanding of environmental dynamics. Plant-like growths discovered during her initial terrain survey proved unexpectedly useful. They possessed a fibrous structure with remarkable tensile strength. Alina carefully processed these organisms, creating binding materials that could withstand the corrosive atmosphere and periodic energy storms. Structural integrity was her primary concern. Each component was meticulously tested, analyzed, and integrated. The shelter began to take on an almost organic appearance, a living structure that seemed to breathe and move with the planet's subtle geological pulse. Thermal regulation presented another complex challenge. The temperature variations on Chronicles 9 were extreme, ranging from freezing cold to intense heat within short periods. Alina developed a multi-layered insulation system using the rock's unique thermal properties. Her scientific background came into full play. Understanding was not just about survival, but about creating a comprehensive system that could adapt and thrive. The shelter became more than a protective space. It was a research station, a living laboratory. Periodic plasma storms continued to dance on the horizon. Where most protective structures would have been destroyed, Alina's design absorbed and redirected the energy. The obsidian-like rocks acted as natural capacitors, converting potentially destructive energy into usable power. Communication remained a critical concern. Standard communication equipment would fail quickly in this environment. Alina began developing alternative transmission methods, using the mineral structure's unique electromagnetic properties to create a rudimentary signaling system. The alien observers continued their surveillance, their advanced technologies struggling to process what they were witnessing. This was not just survival. This was transformation. A single human researcher was turning an impossible environment into a functional living space. Ventilation systems were carefully constructed to filter the corrosive atmosphere. Alina used the local rock formation's microscopic channel structures to create a natural filtration system that would continuously clean and recycle air. Each breath would be a testament to human engineering. Water collection became integrated into the shelter's design. The rock formation's subtle moisture channels were expanded, creating a sustainable water extraction and purification system. What appeared to be solid rock became a complex network of life-sustaining pathways. As the shelter neared completion, it looked nothing like traditional human or alien construction. It was a living system, a hybrid of biological and technological innovation. The boundaries between shelter, research station, and living organism became beautifully blurred. The first full day of construction drew to a close. Alina stepped back, analyzing her creation. What had begun as a desperate attempt to survive had become something far more significant. A proof of concept, a demonstration of human adaptability and scientific innovation. Plasma storms continued to dance around her shelter. But now, instead of a threat, they seemed almost like a welcoming dance. The shelter stood as a beacon of human determination, a statement that no environment was truly uninhabitable. As darkness fell on Chronicles 9, Alina Rodriguez sat within her newly constructed shelter. Not just surviving, but beginning to understand. Not just existing, but preparing to thrive. Survival was just the beginning. Discovery was her true mission. Water was the essence of survival, and on Chronicles 9, it was also the greatest challenge. Alina Rodriguez understood that survival was not about fighting the environment, but about understanding its deepest secrets. The planet's soil defied every standard geological classification. What appeared to be a toxic, barren landscape was actually a complex ecosystem of microscopic potential. Most researchers would have seen only destruction. Alina saw an opportunity for scientific alchemy. Her specialized equipment began a meticulous analysis of the seemingly lifeless terrain. Microscopic channels ran through the rock formations, carrying trace amounts of moisture that would have gone unnoticed by standard detection systems. These were not just simple water pathways, they were intricate biological networks. The alien observation team adjusted their sensors, struggling to comprehend the methodology. Alina was not just collecting water. She was engaging in a complex dialogue with the planet's most fundamental structures. Her water filtration system became a marvel of adaptive engineering. Using the local mineral compositions, she created a multi-stage purification process that transformed the planet's most toxic elements into potable water. Each drop was a testament to human scientific innovation. The makeshift greenhouse emerged as her next critical project. Most would have considered plant cultivation impossible in such an extreme environment. Alina saw it as a challenge to be solved, a way to create a sustainable ecosystem within her shelter. Microorganisms discovered in the microscopic channels of the rock formations became her first cultivation subjects. These were not standard life forms. They possessed unique adaptations that allowed them to survive in conditions that would destroy most known biological entities. Careful genetic analysis revealed extraordinary potential. These microorganisms could potentially be modified to create a sustainable food source, to assist in atmospheric processing, and to provide additional resource generation. What appeared to be lifeless was actually a complex, adaptive ecosystem waiting to be understood. The shelter's internal environment became a living laboratory. Temperature, humidity, and atmospheric composition were constantly monitored and adjusted. Alina was not just surviving. She was creating a comprehensive research station that could potentially transform understanding of extreme planetary environments. Periodic energy storms continued to rage outside. But inside, a delicate ecosystem was taking shape. The microorganisms began to show remarkable adaptability, responding to carefully controlled environmental stimuli in ways that challenged every known biological principle. Most research teams would have approached this environment with destruction in mind. Alina's method was fundamentally different. She sought to understand, to integrate, to create a symbiotic relationship with the planet's unique ecosystem. Her greenhouse became more than a food production facility. It was a complex biological research station, each carefully cultivated organism a potential key to understanding survival in extreme environments. The boundaries between survival mechanism and scientific exploration became beautifully blurred. The alien observers continued their surveillance, their advanced technologies struggling to process what they were witnessing. This was not just survival. This was a comprehensive transformation of an impossible environment. Water collection systems expanded, integrated with the shelter's overall structure. The rock formation's microscopic channels were carefully modified, creating a sustainable water extraction and purification network. What appeared to be solid rock became a living system of resource generation. Genetic modification became a careful, methodical process. Alina understood the ethical implications of her work. Each modification was approached with scientific precision and philosophical consideration. These were not just organisms to be used. They were potential partners in survival. The first successful crop emerged, a hybrid organism that combined characteristics of the local microorganisms with carefully selected terrestrial plant DNA. It was small, almost insignificant, but it represented something profound. The first step in creating a sustainable ecosystem on a planet considered completely uninhabitable. Atmospheric processing became another critical focus. The microorganisms showed potential for gradually transforming the planet's toxic atmosphere. What had begun as a survival strategy was becoming a potential terraforming project. As the day progressed, Alina's scientific alchemy continued. Each discovery was carefully documented, each observation a potential breakthrough in understanding extreme planetary environments. The line between survival and scientific exploration became beautifully indistinct. The alien observation team watched with increasing fascination. This was not just a human surviving. This was a comprehensive scientific exploration that challenged every existing understanding of planetary adaptation. As darkness fell on Krezix-9, Alina Rodriguez sat surrounded by her growing ecosystem, not just surviving, but beginning to thrive. Not just existing, but preparing to transform an entire planetary environment. Survival was just the beginning. Discovery was her true mission. Communication was survival. Alina Rodriguez understood that her ability to send a signal through Krezix-9's hostile electromagnetic environment could mean the difference between isolation and rescue. The damaged communication systems from her crashed research vessel lay scattered across her makeshift workspace. Most engineers would have declared them beyond repair. Alina saw them as a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. Krezix-9's unique magnetic fields created an electromagnetic nightmare for standard communication technologies. Periodic energy storms would obliterate most transmission attempts within milliseconds. Her approach would require something far more innovative than conventional communication methods. She began dismantling the communication equipment with surgical precision. Each component was carefully examined, its potential reimagined. The multi-tool transformed into a complex diagnostic and reconstruction device, probing the intricate electronic systems. The alien observation team adjusted their sensors, struggling to comprehend her methodology. Where most would have seen destroyed equipment, Alina saw potential. Her hands moved with a musician's grace, reconnecting circuits, modifying transmission protocols, creating something entirely new. The planet's mineral compositions offered an unexpected advantage. Certain crystal structures within the rock formations possessed unique electromagnetic properties. Alina began to integrate these local materials into her communication system, creating a hybrid transmission method that could potentially pierce the planet's intense interference. Her first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A subtle resonance discovered in the local rock formations suggested a natural communication network. Microscopic channels within the crystalline structures could potentially carry electromagnetic signals in ways that defied standard scientific understanding. Most communication attempts would focus on traditional frequency bands. Alina's approach was fundamentally different. She began developing a multi-layered transmission system that could adapt to the planet's constantly changing electromagnetic environment. The communication device took shape unlike any standard transmission equipment. It was part electronic system, part geological integration, a living network that could modify its own transmission characteristics based on environmental conditions. Power generation became a critical challenge. Standard batteries would fail quickly in Krezix-9's extreme environment. Alina developed a novel energy collection system using the planet's periodic energy storms. What most would see as a destructive force, she transformed into a potential power source. Her first test transmission was more than just a signal. It was a comprehensive data package: geological surveys, atmospheric analysis, biological discoveries. Each burst of information was a testament to human scientific determination. The alien observation team watched with increasing fascination. This was not just an attempt to send a message. This was a comprehensive scientific exploration, packaged within a communication attempt. Backup systems became a critical focus. Alina developed multiple transmission methods, each more innovative than the last. Optical communication using the unique light-refracting properties of local minerals, acoustic transmission through the planet's subtle geological vibrations, electromagnetic signals piggybacked on the planet's natural energy discharges. Most rescue teams would be looking for standard distress signals. Alina's transmission was a comprehensive scientific dissertation, a message that said more than "rescue me," and instead proclaimed, "Look what I've discovered." The communication device became a living system, constantly adapting to the planet's extreme conditions. It was more than a transmission tool. It was a comprehensive research instrument that could potentially revolutionize understanding of extreme planetary communication. Periodic tests revealed incremental improvements. Each transmission carried more data, pierced deeper through the planet's electromagnetic interference. What had begun as a desperate survival attempt was becoming a breakthrough in communication technology. Her backup systems were equally impressive. Encoded messages hidden within geological data, transmission signals that could potentially be reconstructed using the planet's own natural communication networks. Each method was a layer of potential rescue, a testament to human innovative thinking. The alien observers continued their surveillance, their advanced technologies struggling to process the complexity of her approach. This was not just communication. This was a comprehensive scientific exploration packaged within a rescue attempt. As the day progressed, Alina's communication efforts continued. Each transmission was carefully documented, each failed attempt an opportunity for improvement. The line between survival communication and scientific exploration became beautifully indistinct. The device pulsed with a subtle energy, a beacon of human determination cutting through the planet's hostile environment. Not just a distress signal, but a comprehensive message of human capability and scientific curiosity. As darkness fell on Krezix-9, Alina Rodriguez sat surrounded by her communication network, not just waiting to be rescued, but actively exploring, actively discovering. Survival was just the beginning. Communication was her bridge to understanding. The rescue team's vessel approached Krezix-9 with extreme caution. Their standard protocols suggested they would find nothing more than scattered debris and potentially a brief record of another failed exploration attempt. No one expected what awaited them. Initial scans revealed an impossible reading: a functional research station, fully operational, nestled in the heart of one of the most hostile planetary environments ever documented. The communication signals they had received defied every standard expectation. Not a desperate plea for help, but a comprehensive scientific dissertation. As their landing craft descended, the team prepared for the worst. Specialized environmental suits were checked and rechecked. Rescue protocols were reviewed. They anticipated finding a desperate survivor, if they found anyone at all. Elena Rodriguez stood outside her shelter, surrounded by her carefully cultivated ecosystem. She was not a victim waiting to be rescued. She was a researcher ready to share her discoveries. The rescue team's lead scientist, Dr. Marcus Chen, could hardly believe the sensor readings. The shelter's structural integrity, the atmospheric processing systems, the biological cultivation, it was beyond anything in their current scientific understanding. First contact was unlike any standard rescue operation. Elena greeted them with a comprehensive data package, detailed geological surveys, atmospheric analyses, biological discoveries that would revolutionize multiple scientific disciplines. Where most would have demanded immediate extraction, she presented an opportunity for unprecedented scientific exploration. Her logs told a story of systematic problem-solving that challenged every existing understanding of planetary survival. Each entry was meticulously documented, each observation a potential breakthrough. The rescue team realized they were not looking at a survival story, but a comprehensive scientific achievement. The alien observation team, who had watched her entire journey, transmitted their own records to the rescue vessel. What had begun as an expected tragedy had transformed into something extraordinary, a testament to human adaptability and scientific determination. Elena's shelter was more than a survival structure. It was a fully functional research station that had not just survived but begun to understand and interact with one of the most challenging planetary environments ever encountered. The microorganism cultures, the water extraction systems, the communication technologies, each was a breakthrough waiting to be studied. Dr. Chen approached Elena, his environmental suit's sensors working overtime to process the incredible environment. "How is this possible?" he asked, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and pure disbelief. Elena's response was characteristic. She didn't celebrate her survival. She presented her discoveries. The unique mineral compositions that could potentially revolutionize energy generation. The microorganism cultures that suggested entirely new approaches to biological adaptation. The communication technologies that could transform understanding of extreme planetary exploration. The rescue team's initial mission of extraction quickly transformed. They were now looking at a potential game-changing scientific expedition. Elena had done more than survive. She had begun to understand and potentially transform an environment considered completely uninhabitable. Geological samples were carefully collected. The shelter's integrated systems were documented in minute detail. Every aspect of her survival strategy became a subject of intense scientific scrutiny. What made her achievement truly remarkable was not just survival, but the comprehensive approach. She had not just endured Krezix-9. She had begun a dialogue with the planet, understanding its deepest ecological and geological secrets. The alien observation team continued their transmission. What they had witnessed was beyond their current scientific understanding. A single human researcher had done what entire exploration teams had failed to do. Not just survive, but begin to comprehend and interact with an extreme planetary environment. Elena's biological cultures showed potential for extraordinary applications, microorganisms that could potentially be adapted for extreme environment survival, for planetary terraforming, for understanding the fundamental nature of life itself. Her communication technologies challenged every existing understanding of signal transmission. The method she had developed could potentially revolutionize long-distance communication in extreme electromagnetic environments. The rescue team's initial protocols were completely abandoned. This was no longer a rescue mission. This was a comprehensive scientific expedition that would require months, potentially years of study. As the first day of first contact progressed, Elena continued her work, not concerned with personal recognition, but focused on the scientific discoveries waiting to be understood. Dr. Chen realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Not just a survival story, but a comprehensive demonstration of human scientific capability. The boundaries of what was possible had just been dramatically rewritten. Krezix-9, once considered an impossible environment, was now a beacon of human scientific potential. And at the center of it all stood Elena Rodriguez, not a survivor, but a pioneer. Survival was just the beginning. Discovery was her true mission. The scientific community erupted with unprecedented excitement. Elena Rodriguez's expedition to Krazix 9 was more than a mission. It was a paradigm shift that would redefine humanity's understanding of planetary exploration and survival. 6 months after her initial rescue, conference halls across multiple research institutions buzzed with her discoveries. The comprehensive data collected from Krazix 9 challenged every existing scientific model of planetary habitability. What had once been considered an impossible environment was now a testament to human potential. Her microorganism research became the cornerstone of a new field of study. The unique biological adaptations discovered on Krazix 9 opened doors to understanding life in extreme environments. Potential applications ranged from planetary colonization to medical breakthroughs in cellular adaptation. The geological surveys revealed mineral compositions that could revolutionize energy production. The unique crystal structures Elena had studied promised breakthrough technologies in energy generation and communication systems. Engineers and physicists pored over her detail blogs, finding potential innovations in every page. The Galactic Exploration Consortium rewrote their entire approach to planetary exploration. Elena's methodical survival strategy became a new standard for extreme environment research. Training programs were developed, incorporating the lessons learned from her mission. Most remarkable was the communication technology she had developed. The hybrid transmission systems that had allowed her to send signals through Krazix 9's hostile electromagnetic environment were now being studied for potential applications in deep space exploration. Her shelter design became a case study in adaptive architecture. The way she had integrated local geological structures with human technology challenged traditional approaches to survival in extreme environments. Architects and environmental engineers saw her work as a blueprint for future planetary habitation. The Alien Observation Team, which had watched her entire journey, published their own comprehensive analysis. What they had witnessed was beyond their previous understanding of biological adaptation. Humanity had demonstrated a level of scientific determination that transcended traditional species limitations. Elena herself remained focused on continued research. The mission to Krazix 9 was not an endpoint, but a beginning. She continued to analyze the samples, develop new theories, push the boundaries of scientific understanding. Academic papers flowed from her research. Each publication was a detailed account of survival, discovery, and scientific innovation. The scientific community recognized that this was more than a survival story. It was a comprehensive demonstration of human potential. Her work challenged fundamental assumptions about planetary exploration. The traditional approach of observing from a distance was replaced by a new model of active, adaptive interaction with extreme environments. The biological adaptations discovered on Krazix 9 opened new avenues of research. Potential applications in medicine, environmental science, and space exploration seemed limitless. The microorganisms she had studied promised breakthroughs in understanding cellular adaptation. Educational institutions began developing new curricula based on her mission. Students of planetary science, biology, and environmental engineering studied her logs as fundamental texts. Her methodical approach became a model of scientific determination. The technological innovations derived from her mission began to show practical applications. Communication systems became more adaptive. Energy generation technologies took inspiration from her unique approach to resource utilization. Most profound was the philosophical impact. Her mission was a testament to human spirit, a demonstration that survival was not about fighting an environment, but about understanding and working with it. The rescue team that had found her continued to work closely with Elena. What had begun as a potential recovery mission had transformed into a comprehensive scientific partnership. Dr. Marcus Chin, who had first contacted her on Krazix 9, became a close collaborator. Media coverage celebrated her achievement, but Elena remained focused on scientific progress. Interviews and documentaries captured her story, but she was more interested in the next discovery, the next challenge. Her work began to influence policy. Space exploration agencies reconsidered their approaches to planetary research. The passive observation model was replaced by a more active, adaptive strategy of exploration. The alien observation team continued to study her data. What they had witnessed challenged their understanding of biological potential. Humanity had demonstrated a capacity for adaptation that transcended traditional scientific limitations. As years passed, the mission to Krasix 9 became legendary, not just a story of survival, but a comprehensive demonstration of human scientific potential. Elena Rodriguez had done more than survive an impossible environment. She had transformed humanity's understanding of what was possible. The last entry in her mission logs remained a powerful testament to human spirit. Survival is not an endpoint. It is the beginning of understanding. Survival was just the beginning. Discovery was her true mission.